recording?
That's perfect.
Yeah, we're recording.
Okay.
All right.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
That's right. It's the time of the year. It's the 2024 Tesla Truck Tesla-thon. Tesla trucks are number one in horsepower, torque, can go 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and most importantly, tell random people that you are the non-political consumerist, limelight, piss contest winning big dick in your non-walkable city. That's right. No better way to show conservatives that you're better than them, leftists that you don't even know who the fuck they are, and libtards that you're greener than their wheatgrass and kombucha shits. Get out my way, liberal! With 1 million gallons to the mile. Just kidding, it doesn't run on gas. Plus 0 APR financing for the first 6 days. There's never been a better time to buy. And if you come in before the Chili's across the street has their happy hour, we're willing to give you a $100 trade-in value for any 2023 Tesla model. Now stop pumping gas at your local Exxon and piss on those fools you drive by on the freeway. When you drive your 2024 Tesla truck off our lot from the 2024 Tesla tell your friends you're driving America's only truck designed and built in America. Built Tesla tough and Elon Musk smart. Truck.
And that ad, just like several other ads, could be purchased and made for you by the fine folks at Murder Schmurder for a simple payment of $50,000 or less. You could make out a check to Murder Schmurder Incorporated, and we will write you an ad just as good and dripping with masculine energy as that one. Or this one we got coming up.
We do have another one, but
I first of all do want to thank Tesla Trucks. That was really, really nice of them to give us our first ad ever.
It was really crazy that Musk showed up at your house.
I found it weird too. Yeah.
That was weird. But then, like,
even weirder, my wife spat at his face.
Yeah, and he liked it.
And he was like,
he did like it.
And he was like, oh, can she do it again?
Yeah.
We were like, why are you here?
It was weird how he just kind of like appeared out of thin air.
Guy was creeped out.
Like he's got some strange technology that we don't have.
But more importantly, when you go to buy your Tesla truck, mention Murder Schmurder sent you.
In fact, you can buy a Tesla truck online, one of those god-awful blocky cyber trucks, and enter code Murder Schmurder at checkout, and you will save $200 on your purchase of the Cybertruck.
That's true. And if you go to the Chili's across the street,
true.
If you go to the Chili's across the street before happy hour, that's the important part. Before happy hour starts, they will give you another $100 off. So that's $300 off your Tesla truck.
Yeah.
Today.
And I don't know if you've ever had a $100 meal at Chili's, but panties are dropping.
That's right.
Okay, well, we've got another ad for you. I can't believe we got two ads.
I know. Like
one from a real company.
This next one is actually from an up-and-coming company. They haven't officially opened yet.
That's true, but this is a good opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a competing food chain restaurant that we're all really excited about.
Yes. Okay. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to FIOWs, aka Fuck It's Only Wednesdays. It's the only place where everyone with a 9-to-5 hates their job just as much, if not more than you. Oh, the la 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 is coming in great. We have VIP rooms where you can yell into the void of your life with no judgment.
Shit!
Do you want to punch your boss's face in until it's held together like a soup sandwich, then order a Monday Manwich special, which you can smash to a bloody pulp with over 50 of our deadly tools?
Yay!
Not to mention we have endless boneless wings, and if you eat enough of them, you can prove that you don't beat your significant other.
I love my wife!
Good job not taking it out on your loved ones. Plus, it's 1 for 2s on Saturdays. So remember, it's always Wednesday, and fuck, it's only Wednesdays! Tonight.
That's right. Fuck, it's only Wednesdays has 1 for 2s on Saturdays. Don't miss that deal.
Come try our knuckle sandwich.
One's for twos.
And that's 2 for flinching.
We even have a booth in the back where if you pay enough, you can get euthanized.
No, thank you. That's really sweet, actually.
A couple minutes in there, and you're gonna.
Oh, that's
you're gonna be
sweet
ready.
release.
Come try your new cocktail, the Indian Sunburn. No?
It's the only restaurant where the soundtrack is just the song "Farrell's Happy" over and over again.
Dog, I worked at a restaurant like that. It was horrible. There were 7 songs, 7 fucking songs on the radio.
Oh my God.
You learned every one of them.
By heart. And they were just on repeat. And one of them was Rocky Top, which
Oh my God, that was 1/7 of them.
Yeah.
Jesus
I know.
Christ!
And I'm an Alabama fan, so that hurt me.
Oh my
4
God.
times over. But yeah, it was a rough time.
I went to the sushi restaurant once, and the only music playing was the entire discography of Lou Bega.
I don't know if you remember, Austin, but we used to work at a bar together.
We did.
And
Place burned down.
3, 4, 5.
I don't. We're not going to talk about what place
Everybody
it is.
on the floor,
but
give her a vibe.
we complained about like the music machine,
Big Vega guy.
and they
Little bit of
bought
Monica
this
in my life.
this little box. I don't know if you remember.
I
but
remember the box.
the box. It only played 14 songs, but the way it was advertised to the heads was that it'll change ever so often based on the day, the time of the day, time of the year, that kind of thing. It didn't. It just played the same 14 songs, and it was excruciating. And I was like, dude, I'm fucking over this. And I got this little dropper, and I was dropping droplets into the machine until it stopped working. And I was like, oh no, I guess we'll have to plug someone's phone in to the aux cord. The next day, if you remember, there was another guy. We're not going to name him. We'll just, for context, we'll just say his name is Bill. Bill came up to me and was just like, I heard you broke the machine by putting droplets in. I was like, I wouldn't do that. And he just looked at me
Doesn't
like,
sound like me.
and he just gave me this stare like, you can tell the truth if you want. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. Anyway, I'm going to play this playlist today. Are you okay with that? It was a good day.
I mean, vindication, baby.
Oh my
I get it.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Fuck that place.
That place needed to burn down. That was an act of God. That's all that was.
All right, well, we got our sponsorships out the way. Joseph, I think we needed to follow up on our...
On Jerry.
Oh, on Jerry.
that's right.
Jerry got a little bit of screen time on part 1. Yeah, so I'll tell you about how
Jerry.
So, for all the listeners that are just coming in,
Go
Joseph
listen to
has-
part 1, first of all. What are you doing? This is part 2.
Who starts off with part 2 of anything?
Yeah,
But
go ahead.
supposedly you have 2.5 testicles.
I got a little non-benign cyst on one of my bad boys. The way I found out about it was... Are we good?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
My headphones are just a little loud. That's perfect right here.
Hell yeah. Technical difficulties. Beep.
Oh, that was a nice little harmony.
Yeah.
You like that?
Let's get...
So the way I found out about Jerry was I was making out with this girl in college, and we're getting handsy.
And she
she-
goes 1, 2, and 3.
And literally, she cradles my balls and goes,
1, 2,
"One of your balls
wait."
feels weird."
That's every man's worst nightmare.
And I was like, "What?" She's like, "One of your balls feels weird. Have you always had this?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Bloop bloop bloop," and I was like, "Oh, that does feel weird." She was like, "Yeah, you should get that checked out." And I was like, "Yeah, are we still going to do this?" And she was like, "Oh yeah." And I was like, "Oh,
Okay, fine.
hell yeah, yeah, I'll get it checked, whatever." And so I obviously ignored it because I grew up not going to the doctor because bad dirt people.
I mean, I grew up in one of those families.
Yeah. I was like, you don't go to the doctor even if you got a broken arm
Yeah.
or something. Yeah. And
Hang on, Grant. I think my headphones are out.
Boop, 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 boop,
Boop,
boop,
boop.
boop,
Boop, boop. Can you hear this?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Boop, boop.
Now mine are. Can't hear me. Shabata. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, my headphones are really down.
Shoop, shoop-a-doo.
Shoop doop bop bop boop. Oh, that's great right there. Uh-huh. Yeah.
I mean, try talking.
Hello.
Okay,
Yep,
I can hear you.
There he is.
Okay. What? It's a poor
What did we
craftsman who
do?
blames his tools.
I saw y'all plugging shit in and out.
I didn't
I
plug
didn't plug
shit.
nothing.
I saw it.
I didn't plug shit. I
I ain't doing nothing.
didn't do fucking shit.
That's with my algorithm.
No.
Do you have it on video? I didn't
No,
think so.
I didn't
There we
think
go.
so.
That's what I thought.
Moving right along.
I saw y'all plugging stuff in and out.
I
You're telling me that you don't
Nothing.
You're telling me that you don't have a Jurassic Park password on your tool over there?
The
you
little
like
JPEG of Grant.
I don't.
You didn't say the magic word.
So
Like it shocks you if you touch it.
Sorry, Joey. Anyways, you broke an arm. They just told you to rub some dirt on it.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's your comfort.
It's backwards.
So I spend the next like couple weeks like ignoring what the girl told me, and then I'm in the shower, and then I start to feel it, and I'm like, I've got cancer. Like I'm
Because
dead.
that is the logical first thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Right.
I've got cancer. They're probably gonna have to cut my dick and balls off. I might as well shoot myself.
Doc, I got AIDS.
And I'm like, and I'm talking to my
Tell
friend.
it to me straight, Doc. Just cut it off now.
Just go ahead and tell me. You're gonna have to remove Joey Strokes and this juice crew.
He's shaved his head already.
Yeah, seriously.
That was for a different reason.
dick. Just tell me straight.
I got
It's the
sad dick. Just tell me.
isn't it?
It is. So I'm talking to my friend Christoph. Shout out Christoph, who's probably listening. Maybe not.
Who knows?
Anyway,
I hope you are, Christoph.
I hope you are. And I'm talking to him, and I'm like, I got cancer, bro. And he's like, you don't have cancer. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. It's like, you don't tell me what kind of cancer I got. And he's like,
Did he cradle your balls?
no.
I've got cancer, and he's like, well, let me check.
He probably would have if I'd asked.
No. That's
a good
just-
friend.
That's a
Yeah.
growth.
He's
His
a great
name's
friend.
Jerry.
Oh, I've seen this before. That's
So-
a Jerry if I've
Yeah.
ever seen one.
Now, don't let him get too high up there. He will come for the brain.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it'll spread.
Right.
Jerry. So so I talked to my friend, and like a true friend, he's like, if you go to the doctor, I'll go with you. And I was like, okay. All right. I'll go to the doctor. So we go to the nearby hospital. I think it was St. Thomas in Murfreesboro.
The burra.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a really good hospital.
Yeah. I got to because I had like healthcare, I guess, technically through the school or something. So I went to the on-site clinic, and they were like, we can't tell if you have cancer or not. And I was like, that's not the answer I wanted. And they were like, you should go to St. Thomas. So they like set me up with an appointment.
Wait, they said, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, literally. The lady was like, huh, there could be something. But I was like, you fucking bitch, okay?
Yeah.
Did you go to school for 8 years?
And she was like, no, I went to school for 2. You need to go to an actual doctor.
The doctors they have at the clinic, because we both went to the same school, are not very. So, like, at one point, I went to the clinic, and I was thinking about getting the snip on my peeper. Yeah, I was thinking about getting circumcised,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What are the pros and cons?" And the doc was like, "Well, one of the pros is you're less likely to catch a venereal disease,
And you look really cool.
you're gonna look snazzy."
Put some sunglasses on that dick.
And I was like, "I don't think that works like that. Like, how are like? I think if I fuck a person with AIDS, I'm gonna get AIDS either way." I
Well,
don't
then
think-
just don't fuck a person with AIDS.
Yeah.
That'll be
Trust me.
$600.
And also, I mean, he is right, though. Like, turtlenecks are out of style. You know what I mean?
Imagine it gets hot.
But but I was like,
We're in the Southeast.
So
Like,
what are the
think about
cons?
summertime.
And the doc was just like, well, you won't be able to ejaculate for at least 8 weeks. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you cannot pleasure yourself or with another partner for 8 weeks because it will tear the sutures off.
Yeah.
And I was like, not doing it. That will never happen.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long.
It's a
8
long
weeks.
time to not
8
jacket.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I've been insanely busy many times in my life, like working 100-hour weeks.
Oh,
And I'm at my worst.
I've been really busy just jerking it.
No.
Like 100 hours in a
Just
week.
punishing my wiener.
I've been the opposite. I've been so busy that I'm like, I haven't checked off in 5 days. Let me carve out some time for that.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
8 weeks?
If it's
No.
important, you'll make time.
I was
Exactly.
Could you
8
imagine
weeks
the
now.
load after 8 weeks, though? Oh, my God.
at the time I was a
Film
huge
it.
red flag. I had a girlfriend and I was cheating on her like it was like going out of style.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful news.
I was a very trash human, but I've become a lot better thanks to the help of my friends.
Aw.
Aw,
I'm better
Do
too.
it again.
How weird is that?
I got better too.
I got better, too.
We all used to be scumbags.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah, we did.
That was fucking...
it's okay. You can always change and become a better person.
That's
It's
right.
not an overnight thing.
Yeah, learn
No.
something new every day.
something that you can change. I do know somebody that has a botched circumcision,
Ugh.
Ooh.
and he would hang jewelry from it. It was actually really cool.
All right, well, good
That's-
on him.
Little
Making
concerning.
lemonade.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Jerry,
So,
which is still very concerning.
so we go to the hospital. And I'm waiting in the lobby, and I'm just like, like doing the like leg pumping thing, and I'm just like, sure, I got fucking cancer. I know it. I'm gonna walk in.
And the worst type, too.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they're just gonna fucking like just be like, well, snip, snip, goodbye, corn purse, and they're
Goodbye, poker.
Don't worry, we'll give you a jar just so you can take them home.
yeah, thanks for my pickled eggs. And I'm sitting there, and they have a really, really nice mini fridge that's filled with sodas, like Sprites and Cokes, like name brand sodas and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I'm gonna steal that fucking fridge. Like, I'm just I'm sitting there, and I like,
It's the only thing big enough for my balls.
and I like nudge my friend, and I'm like, I'm taking this fridge. It's like, I'm fucking taking it. I'm walking right out of here. I'm stealing this soda, and I'm stealing this fridge.
Quick pause. I love so much that you said name brand sodas. Because that further lets you know that we come from the same place, and that's wonderful. They're just giving out free Sprites.
Just giving out free Sprites and
Are you
Coca-Colas,
kidding
dude,
me?
at the doctor.
Yeah, this isn't like Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This
Diet
is like real
Dr.
shit.
K.
Hey, do
Yeah,
not,
this isn't Dr. Mountain.
do not shit on Mr. Pibb. I love Mr. Pibb.
I did too. But also, second one was, I'm going to have one of those sodas. It was, I'm going to steal this entire mini fridge.
Well, because I was like, I've got a death sentence in my sack, so I might as well take this whole fridge. And my friend's like, don't steal the fridge. Don't steal the fridge. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And he's like, he's like, just
This is Joseph's Walter White moment.
Truly.
This is you like regaining control of your life. Some people sell meth. You steal fridges.
Full of name brand
Full of
sodas.
Name
name brand
brand
sodas.
sodas,
Dude,
dog.
those go
Just
for like
going over to the friends'
75 cents
houses,
a
like,
pop.
that's a nice
Like,
fridge.
come on.
Opens it, Sprite.
And he's like, don't do it. And then they call my name. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back there. I go back there. This very, very nice doctor. She's like, hey, like, I heard you might have something going on. Let's check it out. She's very nice to me. She's very calm. And I'm like, as you guys are aware, I'm freaking out. And when I freak out, sometimes I just start making jokes. And I start trying real hard to make her laugh. And she's like, okay, well, here's the exam table.
Thank
And
God we're not doctors, because I definitely would be like, I hear your nuts are all dicked up, bro.
My bedside manner would not be great. Let's take a look at the Three Stooges.
Well, Curly seems fine.
Mo is good. Larry is,
Uh-oh.
Larry is benign.
and she gestures to the examination table, and she's like, you can go ahead and take off your pants, And I'm just like, well, buy a guy dinner first. And she looks at me,
Oh, I know that doctor look.
and I'm like,
because I do the same shit.
and I'm like, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I like take off my pants, and I do everything, and then I like go back, and she's like gonna like basically ultrasound my balls. Is what she's gonna do.
Hell yeah.
Like she's gonna scan them.
Did she rub the cream all over
I
it?
was about to just ask that. Thank you. Hell yeah.
She gives me like the gel, and she's like, just put this
Do
on
it yourself.
Well, she gives me the gel, and she's like, I can put this on you if you want, or you can do it. And I was like, no, that's okay. I'm pretty used to
You
know.
bitch.
Well, I was like, I'm pretty used to working myself, and she just looks at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be weird. I'm really freaking out. And then like I lay back, and she's like, hey, like here's this towel that you can use to like cover your like penis while we're like checking out your balls. And I was like, you might want to go back there and swap that out for a beach towel, ma'am.
You said that?
she just looks at me. She's like, sir, please. Wait, she's like, I have a really long day. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so scared. And so I lay back.
I'm sorry. I'm very hungry, but also very scared.
I'm like, I'm so scared. And she's like, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. So I lay back. She gives me a towel to cover up. She checks it all out, scans it, and she's like, okay. So she gives me that, like, she does the, like, also, like, she scans it, and then she does, like, the boop, 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 checking out. And she's like, okay, if everything feels okay, everything looks okay, we're not gonna know about the scans for, like, maybe a couple days, you know, but, you know, it looks okay, but I will let you know as soon as we know. And I'm like, okay, thank you for putting up with my stupid jokes. And she's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And then she goes off to do her own thing. I go back into the lobby, and my friend's there, and he's like, so what's up? And I'm like, you know, I tell him what happened, what they said, and he's like, okay. And I'm like, I'm stealing that fucking fridge, man. I know. I fucking know it, man. And he says, hey, listen, take one soda. He's like, if you have cancer, I promise I will drive you back, and you can take the fridge. I promise.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. That is a really good friend.
I was like, you're right. And I just took my Sprite, left, called a couple days later, benign cyst, nothing cancerous about it.
All right.
And
Can I keep them?
And I told him about that, and he's like, you know, if you'd stolen that fridge, you'd have full-blown cancer, right?
Who is this person? Past me?
He's awesome.
Seriously.
He's great. Christoph is great.
It sounds exactly like what I would do.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Way better than what I would do. I'd be like, yeah, let's steal it.
Like, go to the doctor. You think they have meth? Yeah.
I'd create the distraction for you to be able to steal it.
And I appreciate that.
And if it would have been benign, it's like, oh, we got to return it.
What would your distraction be?
Definitely not a fire, but that would be the first idea.
You would think fire, and then be like, no, we can do better.
No, fire's too destructive. They call it
Fire's been done before.
Heart attack. Fake heart attack.
I think, honestly, for Jamie specifically, what would be good is if you, like, flipped the magazine table and then just started yelling in Spanish. Really rapid fire.
That's good.
You know?
I feel like that could get me detained. I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it might. But this is for Joseph to be able to steal the mini fridge.
Nah,
Joseph has cancer.
I'm thinking I have to.
He has ball cancer.
I think I have to yell on the phone or act schizophrenic and then start an argument with like a fire extinguisher. Or something, you know what I mean?
Can the voice inside your head be Spanish?
Say again?
Can the voice inside your head speak Spanish?
Yeah, that would probably be good.
Yeah.
So you're switching back and forth, rapid fire.
Yeah.
I think
the point is
a
to
solid schizophrenic
create
episode.
confusion.
I think would do wonders.
So in your head, it's like fuego. And you're like, yeah.
Fire.
Also, my Spanish is like, it comes in and out sometimes.
Well, that's perfect.
Like, what's it called? I had to boil some water at work just yesterday. And I got this 21-year-old bar back. And I'm like trying to talk to the kitchen, and I can say everything else flawlessly. And then I was like, I stop, and they like look at me like kind of confused. And I was like, I turned to my 21-year-old bar back, and I'm like, how do you say water in Spanish again? And he goes, agua. I was like, oh yeah, agua.
Oh, so you're the same in both languages.
Yes.
You've got what's the word in both languages.
Wait, what's it called? What's it called?
Like the 21-year-old, he thought I was messing with him. I was like, is this a trick question? Because he didn't understand what I was saying to the kitchen.
Agua? Correct!
Yeah, like, are you trying to check my bona fides? Or like... that's the story of Jerry.
That's the story of Jerry. Okay.
Well, I loved it.
And he's been hanging out ever since.
Hell yeah. Like, is he distinct? Like, you can see him through the, like, it's like a baby. Like, when, you know, when a baby's like at 8 or 9 months.
Is it like the
and you
Oracle?
put its hand through the stomach
in
kind
that
of thing?
Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
You know in
Total Recall?
in The Mummy, when the like face pops out of the sand?
Yes. Jerry. Then it disappears.
That works perfectly for your hair color. That's very good.
You actually can't see it. You'd have to like feel it.
Is it Voldemort's last Horcrux? Like,
It's like the back of the dude's head.
right.
Yeah.
Like you get a weird vibe about somebody and you hear from your pants, he lies.
Show me the boy.
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It definitely doesn't say that.
Oh, Austin, you're on fire.
Eat the stone. I do like the idea that like there's Voldemort stuck to Joseph's body, and he's like, "No, we must kill the boy." And it just was like, "I'm gonna go to work."
I'm just gonna ignore that.
Following your demands doesn't get me
Listen,
paid.
if you don't shut up, I'm gonna cover you in deodorant again.
I can touch you now.
Yeah, I've got rent to pay. Shut the fuck up.
Trying to sleep. Oh my god. I can't think of a segue. We're gonna
Speaking of the back of my nuts.
kind of like how I've got my extra dude imprisoned within my nutsack. We're gonna go back to prisons.
Hell yeah.
Wow, there you go.
Swish.
That was good enough. Yeah.
That's all right. So we
Let's say
talked.
swish. It came off the backboard a little bit.
It came off the backboard a little
Just
bit.
like the back of Joseph's nuts.
Hell yeah. See?
Fuck you.
So in the first episode, we talked about the prison industrial complex, how much money it generates. We gave a very brief overview because, goddamn, there's just so much more I could have talked about. But for this episode, this is going to be part rant, part just what does the future of private prisons look like? And in order to talk about the future of private prisons, we have to talk about what's happening now in legal terms and also what's going to be coming down the pipeline. And something that we're going to touch on, well, not just touch on, we're going to talk about a lot today, is Project 2025. A lot of people are freaking out about Project 2025, rightfully so. I would like to start up top with this is definitely a project by a conservative PAC conglomerate, like essentially think tank.
Oh, you don't say.
It is. However, there is a lot of pressure on both sides in order to continue the disappearing middle class as well as to continue raising the stakes and hitting with the minimum or mandatory minimum sentencing. I mean, the crime bill was authored largely in part with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is a symptom of the resurgence of fascism in the United States. So we're going to talk about that. A lot of people talk about Project 2025, and while it does look like a menacing Orwellian nightmare system that will push us even further into the dystopian cyberpunk doom future we all know is coming, in reality, Project 2025 is taking our already corrupt system of grinding working class people into dust and cranking it up to 11. The current system is bad, but what's coming is even worse. It's either Biden is doing everything in his power to hand Trump the presidency, or he will be president for all of 6 months, die, and then Kamala Cop Harris will become the president. Kamala Harris, who for all her talk about being the child of immigrants who's been marching for civil rights since she was a baby, repeatedly and openly defied U.S. Supreme Court orders to reduce overcrowding in California prisons while serving as the state's attorney general. She refused to release thousands of nonviolent offenders. And after everything we talked about, it kind of makes you wonder, why would a powerful politician work so hard to keep nonviolent people locked up if not to exploit their hard-earned labor? So either we'll have maybe a year of Biden and then Cop Harris and or the Republicans in their Project 2025. Because let's be honest, you don't have to look any further than the current neoliberal government and their illegitimate Supreme Court to see which way the wind's blowing, and voting is not going to get us out of this. To look at recent trends, the Supreme Court recently ruled that states are allowed to prosecute people for sleeping outside. Now, even if we weren't already in such a heightened state of late-stage capitalism where more than half of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, this is a cartoonishly cruel thing to do. We talk a lot on this show about the most vulnerable people being targeted by weak-willed, horrendous killers, and the government is no different in a lot of ways. The government and the ruling class make it much more difficult for the most vulnerable amongst our people to even just live their lives. And this ruling has the potential to be orchestrated into the mass rounding up of homeless people, where they will no doubt be funneled into the already overcrowded prison systems, where these desperate people will be forced into servitude. Now, that's speculation, but to be honest, if you're looking at where things are going, it doesn't seem like wild speculation to me. With all that being said, let's get into what Project 2025 actually is. Project 2025 is a radical blueprint for a potential second Trump administration spearheaded by the right-wing Heritage Foundation. And if that does not alarm you, let me tell you about the plans in their documents for this. These are their plans. These are their documents. I am going to be quoting a lot from the documents themselves. While I'm here, let me also address something. Trump himself claims to have nothing to do with the Heritage Foundation and to not even know what Project 2025 is. Now, we all know that Trump is a liar, right? Even if you like him, for whatever reason, it is laughably simple to show that Trump is a near pathological liar. But just in case you do take him at his word, let me run down Trump's connections to a plan for America that makes the current administration look like goddamn Eugene V. Debs. On July 5th, Trump posted on Truth Social that he knows nothing about Project 2025 and has no idea who is behind it.
Lie.
Well, the co-editors of Project 2025, Paul Nance and Stephen Groves, both held high-ranking positions in the Trump administration. Dan served as chief of staff at the Office of Personnel Management, which is the agency responsible for staffing the federal government, and was a senior advisor at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Groves served as deputy press secretary and assistant special counsel. Now, Project 2025's two associate directors, Spencer Cretion and Troop Hemingway, which fucking check out the names on these bozos, are also tightly connected with Trump. Cretion was special assistant to Trump and assistant director of presidential personnel, helping to identify, recruit, and place hundreds of political appointees at all levels of government. Hemingway also served as an associate director of presidential personnel and previously worked on Trump's 2016 campaign and the 2016 transition team. And listen, I feel like I'm narrating a fantasy novel while listing these titles. Like, it feels like I'm saying, like, Hail Senator McConnell, Protector of the Ignorance Realms, Knight of the Whites Only Table. But that's what government is.
And you make me sad.
If you haven't figured it out, our government is essentially a cryptic bureaucracy specifically designed to grind people into dollar figures. That's how they fuck you. All these people know each other, and they're putting their people in charge. It's that simple. A few competent people are replaced by bootlicking supplicants that act as yes man to the evil people who are actually in charge. Now, Project 2025's 922-page policy agenda has 30 chapters and 34 authors. 25 of those authors served as members of the Trump administration. All told, of the 38 people responsible for writing and editing Project 2025, 31 of them were appointed or nominated to positions in the Trump administration and transition teams. So when Trump claims to have nothing to do with it, over 81% of the people who created this agenda had formal roles in his first administration. Now, I'd love to get into the details on one author, Russ Vought, who is a self-described Christian nationalist and calls for the abolishment of the Gender Policy Council. That's an entity that conducts research on economic security, health, gender-based violence, and education with a focus on gender equity and equality, and is particularly focused on barriers faced by women and girls. I would love to get into the calls to abolish the Department of Education, an actual plan that is in this document.
Yep. You don't say.
Yeah, Austin, it might come true for you.
Call it book burning where I'm from. Whatever you want to call it, yeah.
But people, we simply do not have the time. And it also makes me so fucking mad reading all of this. And if your blood pressure isn't rising yet, then you better invest in sunblock because you might be a vampire.
Wow.
Cute.
Try to throw some cute in there. Instead, we're going to focus on another author, Gene Hamilton, and his calls to deploy the military at the southern border. And bear in mind, Gene Hamilton is the guy who drafted Trump's child separation policy. Now, besides having horrific ideas about racially motivated legislature, he also has some interesting thoughts on the Department of Justice. I am going somewhere with this. He wants to eliminate the Department of Justice's independence from the White House, saying that a new Trump administration should, quote, end immediately any policies, investigations, or cases that run contrary to law or administration policies, end quote. He also plans on using the Office of Civil Rights exclusively to prosecute state and local governments, institutions of higher education, corporations, and any other private employers who have diversity initiatives. Now, how would they do this? Generally speaking, the Constitution reserves criminal law to the states, allowing the localities to create criminal accountability as they see fit through the discretion and decision-making of local prosecutors. Prosecutorial discretion is part of the foundations of our legal system. Very basically, the idea that the people elect their prosecutor and can elect or not elect a person whose judgment they agree with when it comes to what to focus on when it comes to criminal prosecution. You see this a lot in cities like Portland, states like Oregon or Seattle or various other, Denver, Colorado is a great example. Cities and states that have decriminalized a lot of drugs who choose not to prosecute those cases, right? Now you may say someone in, federally it's illegal to, smoke meth, right? But maybe in Oregon, they have a district attorney or a prosecutor that they decide, hey, we're not going to focus on drug cases because we don't really give a shit about that. We don't think someone should be locked up for doing drugs. Instead, we're going to focus on like rapists, violent crime, etc., right? And it is the state's right and municipalities' right to assign essentially their focus on the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we can all assume the biggest issue there is that puts the impetus on the voter to find, figure out, and learn about the local elected municipalities, like a sheriff's department, for example.
Right.
You need to learn who that sheriff is that you are electing, right? Whether
Exactly.
you vote or not, that position is being voted upon. That is a public decision that's being made.
Yeah, and it has real life consequences for the types of crimes and who they're going to be prosecuting.
Massively.
So that makes sense, right? Local prosecutors essentially get a say in what their local communities favor and what they decide is important to prosecute or not. So the plans included in Project 2025 are that essentially the new Trump Department of Justice will basically override local voters and prosecutors, bringing federal charges where they deem states not punitive enough.
Right.
Now, sure, this would be a ridiculous, massively difficult thing to do as our criminal court system is spread across 3,143 counties. But what it means in real terms is that the Trump DOJ will troll for cases that they find politically or legally meaningful and come crashing down on localities with all the federal force they can muster to prosecute specific individuals they don't like and set harsh precedents for future cases.
Well, now hold on. I thought the Republicans were about states' rights.
Not when it doesn't do what they want them to do.
Really?
I'm giving it to you straight from the horse's mouth. This is literally in their written
I'm
in
sorry,
their
I'm being
plans.
sarcastic.
Oh, you were? I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Because I was being sarcastic.
Damn it.
You just got incepted.
It's like a Mexican standoff in here.
Mexican standoffs use real sugar. Like Mexican Cokes. Do you get it? Because it's like Mexican Coke.
I don't know. I feel like the bar just kind of jiggled there.
It's not erect, but it's...
It went like, womp, womp.
It was like,
Here.
yeah. I've heard worse.
Actually, I raised the bar? Oh, no.
I love the fact that our bar has a mind of its own. That makes me happy.
I think it's become sentient over time. So basically, this would include demands for harsher sentences and increased utilization of the death penalty. They're going to double down on the war on drugs, prosecuting interstate drug cases much more harshly. And by interstate drug cases, they mean mailing abortion pills. So not over an exaggeration. The most obvious expansion of the criminal system is in the zone of reproductive health. This document is fixated on abortion, unsurprisingly. And if you think losing Roe v. Wade was bad, baby, I'm sorry to say it, but that was simply the first shot in the upcoming war. Project 2025's ultimate goal is to end all forms of abortion access, including pills like Plan B, and has references throughout the entire document about it. And again, I am using their own words to describe what they plan to do. And if you don't believe me, you can look up the document yourself because there are references to ending access to abortions on pages 6, 104, 284, 450, 455, 459, 503 to 539, and 562. Cite my sources. And restricting access to abortion pills isn't this project's only fight against healthcare. They want to make sure that doctors and nurses don't even know how to perform abortions. specifically by making sure that the Department of Health and Human Services guidelines and training does not involve anything about them. Going back to recent rulings and decisions by the illegitimate Supreme Court, a few weeks ago, SCOTUS kicked back a case to Idaho that was covered as a case allowing emergency abortions to save a woman's life. But that's not really what it was about. The court punted the case back to the circuit court, leaving the question totally open on whether or not a woman needs to be actively dying in order to receive an abortion. And that's the point. They don't have to say one way or the other if it's legal, because as long as there's legal uncertainty about life-saving procedures, doctors and hospitals will be left wondering what they're supposed to do as a woman lies bleeding and septic on their table. Women and people seeking medical treatment, not only abortions, but the bare standards of feminine and gender-affirming care, will face less experienced medical staff, punitive damages for seeking said care, and be at risk of either ending up in prison to feed the machine or, in some cases, the cemetery.
And that's the second and third of the most two important aspects of this. Because if a hospital complex, because they are complexes, right?
Yeah.
If they get sued too many times for a reason that they even personally feel is proper healthcare practices, but if they get sued for that, they're going to stop doing it.
Yeah, well, because
Very simply.
if a hospital or a healthcare provider, especially a for-profit center, knows that they can't rely on legal protections even when performing life-saving medical procedures, they just won't do them.
Yeah.
Because if they're at too much risk and legal liability, they're going to lose their medical license. They will. There's a provision in Project 2025 to end federal funding to hospitals that provide emergency care.
So best case scenario, they shove you down to the state-run hospital, which is usually not very good. If we're talking about like a city, major city has at least 2 or 3 hospitals. They're going to shove you down to the least funded one. Mm-hmm. And if we get down to the governmentally funded hospital and they don't have clear reason to protect that person for whatever reason, they're not going to do it.
That's right. And all this stuff that I'm talking about is not limited to Trump. Trump and Biden are both symptomatic of the divide between the ruling class and everyone else. Both red and blue sides are bloated with old wealth and unwilling to give up the power that they've spent decades consolidating. These plans for Project 2025 are depressingly in line with the resurgence of fascism that we're experiencing right now, as well as the decades-long mission to gradually strip us of our inherent rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of goddamn happiness. Now, whether it's Trump now or someone else later, these plans are very real and supported by the people with the money who really run things. And while, yes, I am ranting a little, or a lot, I bring all of this up because I want people to think about our system that mass incarcerates and profits off of people. Not just how our system is now, but where it's headed. It's extremely important, again, to remember the ramifications of highly punitive policies. These do not happen in a vacuum. Every person who is sentenced, every person who misses birthdays or holidays or time with their families is a real person. And whether they made mistakes and whether they deserve to be punished is a completely separate argument than whether it is legally or morally okay to lock them up and then profit off of them. And a Department of Justice that seeks the maximum sentencing on every case, seeks the death penalty, and increases immigration detention is a federal government that is expanding and lining the pockets of the prison industrial complex. You are so much closer to being homeless than a billionaire. You have more in common with the prisoner than you do the politician. There are numerous complicated reasons a person might end up in jail, but we really have to think about the reasons and circumstances leading to a crime, and whether that crime justifies enslaving and exploiting someone. Whether a mistake should absolutely corrupt and bankrupt someone, only to set them up to go back to the same prison down the line. After all, is the point of a prison to punish and rehabilitate or to make money? Is a government's purpose to enslave and exploit, or is it to support and protect?
Wonderful.
If you'll give me a sec,
That was wonderfully worded.
Thank you.
Very poetic.
I want to shout out some of my sources. For anyone interested in studying this topic further, I would highly recommend all these people I'm about to list out. This is a much more complicated and vast topic than we have time to get into, and this is supposed to be a goddamn comedy show, and it's been a real hard episode, but I think this is really important. This is really important to me. This is stuff that I really think people should learn more about and talk about. So please do check out the work done by Alec Karakastansis. That's Karakatsanis. Long fucking name, Alec.
Polish.
Yeah. He does awesome work for both prison reform and police abolition. And Judd Legum, Legum. I follow both their Substacks. Both of them are amazing journalists and researchers. Highly recommend them. There's also the Prison Policy Initiative, the Sentencing Project, the Last Prisoner Project, who work to overturn wrongful drug convictions as well as general criminal reform, the ACLU, and another site called More Than Our Crimes, where people who have spent decades or just years in some cases in prisons speak about their experiences and work to help encourage prison reform.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Joseph. This all sucks so goddamn much. But I will say one thing that we do have left is the fact that the four of us can have this podcast. Mm-hmm. We are legally allowed to talk about this in this room and then put it out for as many people that want to hear it, right?
Mm-hmm. So far, 2,500.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
far 2,500 people, which
maybe
is
those
nice.
numbers keep growing.
I hope that they do, and more importantly, other podcasts or television programs, whatever. Like I still love last podcast on the left. Mm-hmm. They every now and again touch on shit like this. Mm-hmm. HBO, fucking John Oliver's show.
Yeah.
He does a really good job on hyper-focusing on an issue that is in this country. We still have access to information. And we still have free speech.
Yeah.
We have seen the tides turn, and turn again. In the 1920s, gay people were more than allowed to talk and be comedians and be
have visibility.
Trans
to live
people
their lives
were pretty visible in the 1920s. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like not hyper famous ones or whatever. And then a couple world wars happened. Then we had this hyper conservatism that happened in the late 40s all through the 50s. Then the 60s and 70s happened. And then there was a lot of social progression and social justice movements that happened. And then 80s happened thanks to fucking Reagan.
Fucking Reagan, man.
And that bled into the 90s, and it got worse.
Hyper-consumerism, a steady rollback of our rights. And I don't mean to interrupt, but just to shout out all the movements, the women's lib movements, the red power movements, the black power movements. There were even there was a group of people called the White Panthers, which you would think is just a bunch of people who were trying to shit on Marvel Comics. They were actually people who were essentially a alliance party between local communities of white people who were allied with the Black Panthers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the Black Panthers fed people. Yeah. They protected people.
Thanks to our editor, by the way, Julie.
Shout out Jules.
Reminded me of the fact that in essence is an anarchist movement, right? Anarchy in itself is not abolition of all structural powers. It's more so a community coming together to help itself. You know, this is not communism. This is not what we think of as far as anarcho-punk kind of shit. This is just groups of people helping the community around them. Black Panthers were a part of that. White Panthers that joined in with them, allies of the Black Panthers, they were actually actively helping the community in a real powerful way. And then again, the fucking government came in and shut that down because that does not support their ultimate goal, which again, I just do not get.
Well,
if we all build each other up, we all make more money. That's actual real money going towards taxes to support the government.
Well, and more than that, they also whitewash those movements because a lot of those movements were armed. People didn't just gather up, and like Rosa Parks wasn't a random little old lady who just said, well, I'm not going to give up my seat. She was a civil rights activist.
And they
picked her because they were like, you're smart,
picked her.
You're well educated,
Yeah.
you're like very good at talking. What do you call that? I'm not good at talking.
Gift of gab.
She had the gift of gab. But like
Public speaking.
public speaking, she was very
Yes.
loquacious, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But she was well spoken, and she
Yes.
like was able to present an argument and to say that like not only am
This
I a
was
little
not
old
a
lady,
random old lady on a bus.
Yeah.
This was
But
someone
this-
that they handpicked to be the voice of a movement. That was very important.
these were groups of highly organized, highly connected, tight-knit communities that were well armed and like dedicated to each other.
Yeah.
And that was the only way that any of those gains that we made
So-
happened.
Ultimately, I guess what I'm driving at right now is I think we are getting to a point where we have to do this bullshit again.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, personally, I'm fucking exhausted.
I think a lot of it's
I've-
not just you.
I
Yeah.
know, but I've focused on a lot of this shit for a long time. I've looked at the pendulum swinging. I've looked at the changing of all the tides, whatever. And I'm seeing it, and it just makes me tired.
I think what
It does.
I think-
But I think we got to fucking do it again.
No,
I think it's about
I
time.
100% agree, and I think it's time that people start realizing that it's not left versus right anymore. It is up versus low.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
exactly
it is
right.
the
This
people
is
that are
low income versus everybody that's
is
all
the
got
people that have the
fucking
money
power.
and the power that are trying to
Yeah.
keep the money and the power, and they're going to do everything that they can to make sure
Yeah.
that we're all fighting amongst ourselves
Yeah.
so that they can just get away with whatever the
Look,
fuck
I
they
have
want.
talked to my brother, who is consistently conservative.
Right.
He's not a hard right winger, not a Trumpin, which is good.
But he does love Austin.
And he does
Who
actually.
doesn't love Austin?
Yeah.
What's not to love?
and I've talked to my father, who is quite old and born and raised Mississippi, son of a farmer. I've talked to my mother, born or raised in San Francisco, of equal age. My wife has talked to her 70-plus-year-old coworkers at a plant nursery. Everybody is talking about there needs to just be a structural change.
Yep.
Everyone in power needs to be fucking checked
They need to go.
and
Yep.
taken out.
They need to
Honestly,
leave.
you know what I mean? Yeah, let's ask them to leave.
Yeah.
If we got to force them to leave, I guess we got to force them.
And then when they're gone, we're going to set some fucking term limits.
Dude.
Because
Please.
that's the other thing too.
That is
these
the
people,
big thing, honestly.
The president, like you get a president every 4 to 8 years, but it's the people that are
The senators.
there's the senators, the people that
The-
are there for 20, 30
You get
plus
people
years.
like Nancy Pelosi who
Right.
have enriched themselves beyond any
Yeah.
reasonable measure.
When
No
she was a
insider
young
trading.
woman,
Right.
she was talking about some actually decent shit. Now, as a billionaire, she sucks.
She's like, wait a minute.
She doesn't care.
if
she doesn't care anymore.
AOC
Right.
doesn't care about us.
No, not anymore.
You know what I'm saying? Like
When
these
she was
peop-
a bartender running for office,
Right.
she was doing some good
Because
I
shit.
still think
because
AOC
you know why?
is a psyop.
it's because the
honestly.
people it's
Nah,
because the
she's
people
actually
that
pretty
she but it's also the people that she aligned herself with that were just like shh, 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 shh.
Yeah,
That's
You
the
know,
thing.
exactly.
We are being
Here's,
told
here's some money.
yeah, exactly.
we're being told that we're in a culture war, and really what we're in is a class war.
Absolutely.
This is a legitimate class war.
Absolutely.
But the wonderful thing still within this country is that there are still some checks and balances in place, and they can be challenged. They can. We just actually have to do it. And more importantly, they haven't shut this down yet. They haven't shut down free speech yet.
Yet.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is yet.
But the fact that we have to coach it with still or yet. I mean,
Sure.
I think
But-
like you to your point, I mean, I work with a lot of conservative people at a trucking company, you know
And
what I
aren't
mean?
they saying the same shit that you're
Well, that's
saying?
the thing is like it doesn't. Every person I've talked to, we may disagree on how things need to be done, but every single person agrees that we're tired of bearing the brunt of this.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly what I was
Tired of
saying.
our excess
Absolutely.
labor being stolen. We're tired of like having to struggle to even just eat or pay rent.
Right. right. I mean, I'm in a weird place right now, but like, there's no reason why not only a few months ago, I was probably making the most money that I'd ever made in my life, and I still can't afford basic things like groceries,
Dude, I've
rent,
worked
and I'm living
so-
paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
Personally, so fucking hard.
I know
and
you
I've
have.
gotten a lot of opportunities, a lot of luck, a lot of people that have helped me, and I still am struggling.
Yeah.
Even after I worked so fucking hard.
Right.
Like I have a relatively successful side hustle, business, whatever, and it makes a decent amount of money. But I'm still fucking struggling over here.
Yeah.
Like, my wife and I are about to have our 5-year anniversary coming up in the fall, and I'm looking at the numbers on it just for us to take a road trip, a simple little road trip. And I'm just beating my head against the wall on like, how can I afford this?
Right.
After so much time, so much effort, so much saving
Right.
into this.
I mean, and you own your own business. You're living the American dream. But
theoretically.
that's what. But that's
the
what I'm
thing.
saying.
I mean, on
That's
paper,
on
he
paper
is.
he is. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You should be able to reap the benefits of starting your own business, which is what
Hard to do.
But it's what the
Yeah.
American dream was. It's what the
know.
American dream promised.
Yeah.
That you should be able to start your own business, pave your own way
Yeah.
to find success for yourself.
Yeah.
And the people that are up there has stripped away everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, the only thing you're really missing on the American Dream is the white picket fence. You got everything else. You got a nice truck, your own business, wife, house, 2
You
dogs.
got some dogs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't.
See, you got
What
it.
color should I paint it?
White picket fence. It's very
I mean,
simple.
like what color?
That's why you're
of white?
unhappy,
You know what I
Grant.
mean,
Build a fence.
are we talking like eggshell? Is this eggshell? Is
Off-white,
Right.
eggshell,
Off-white.
maybe like a kind of faint lilac.
I like a chalk.
Chalk
white.
Chalk white's good.
Is that what keeps them away from taking everything away from me?
It'll slow them down.
I hate
Slow
to,
him down.
I will
Got
say
it.
this,
For
and
a
I,
second.
and I hate to say this, but there's something that Grant said that really struck a chord with me. It's the pendulum, and this, unfortunately, is just how history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does rhyme. I definitely think in the coming years there will be more and more pushback on freedom of speech. And, we saw that many people will think, oh, but America, freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah.
It's the first one.
It's
It's the first thing they wrote.
It is the first thing.
has constantly been tested. It has constantly been pushed.
Yep.
If you want to get more into it, you can look into screenwriting, one of the fields that I want to go into, that I'm doing my damnedest to get into. What was it? Is it Daniel Trumbo? Dalton Trumbo. Him and many other creative writers were facing, was it with the U.S. Supreme Court?
Yeah, the House Un-American Activities Committee. Have you now or ever been a member of a communist party?
Who was it? Was that McCarthy that led that?
Yeah, Joe McCarthy.
Yeah. And that was
Fucking guy from Wisconsin, I think.
Wow.
And like that essentially was like, oh, did you have any communist or even leftist views? And if you did, you went to fucking prison for it.
Yeah.
You were stripped of all your abilities to do anything essentially in society or in your field. If you want to like look at the whitewashing example with what Joseph said, like think of what MLK did. MLK was very leftist, so much by the point that he got assassinated and was almost completely outed by the black community because he was carrying on. Like after what was it? There was some big civil rights, like huge marker. Like they finally like made great headway, and then MLK was pressing more and more about the United States being in Vietnam. And he was very much, what's the word I want to use? Heavily criticized is the nice way to put it, by the media at the time.
Yeah.
And then even more so by the people in his own community, basically saying like, dude, shut up. We got what we wanted. But the real truth is he wanted true peace, not only for his own people, but for people
He was
around the
going
globe.
for higher. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was aiming higher than what he initially was going out for. Luckily for him, he got that recognition of in that time period, briefly, African Americans got the civil rights that they wanted and needed, but he was aiming higher.
Yeah.
And then he randomly got shot.
And if you think that I'm lying, or
randomly
if you think
killed by the FBI.
if you think that this is
that was my
a stretch of the
insinuation.
truth by any means,
I got it.
by all means, look this up. You can. There's actual interviews of MLK's children saying these exact same things of like his legacy is being whitewashed.
Oh yeah.
Massively so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservative politicians and
nowadays-
like media pundits love to quote Dr. King and be like, oh, well, you know, he wanted a world where no one would get judged by the color of their skin. So we can't teach children about race, or why is it that certain people are prosecuted more heavily than others?
Right.
Because we're all the same. No, we're not, motherfucker.
we're
We're
not.
not talking about equality. We're talking about equity. We're talking about
Yes.
actual true, like being treated the way that you should be, and also analyzing why our system punishes people more severely than others.
Yeah. And exactly on that point, if we want to look at Dr. King versus Malcolm X, Malcolm X immediately was viewed as this just crazy person, just ranting and raving, scared the fuck out of white people back then. Dr. King and Malcolm X were basically aligned in their viewpoints. They just had a different approach at first, but they got closer and closer to the same idea, the same approach.
Yeah. Because Martin Luther King Jr. was truly a radical person who was anti-capitalist, anti-war, who wanted people to actually have like a means of living. Because we talk about like, you know, visibility is very important for people, right? You want to have black movie stars and trans movie stars and all that stuff because people want to be seen and they want to be able to recognize each other, right? But it's also important to have an actual day-to-day life because not everybody wants to be famous or not everybody wants to like be in showbiz. Some people like want to be a plumber and like just go home to their family and have their hobbies, and you shouldn't have to work yourself to death in order to just survive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Malcolm X, fucking rest in power, was like very militant. And Martin Luther King Jr. was coming around to that because there's a great book called This Nonviolent Stuff Will Get You Killed.
It's very good.
It's an incredible book about
Fantastic.
nonviolent protests and nonviolent resistance and how ultimately the only way, and I'm quoting someone and I really wish I could remember who it was, and I'll probably look it up later and feel like an idiot, but nonviolent resistance only works if your enemy has a conscience. And the United States does not have one.
Nice. That's fantastic. Yeah.
You want to know who is also another famous person that had radical leftist views, was anti-war, anti-church, anti-capitalism? Jesus.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was.
Yeah.
But he was very openly critical of the Jewish church at the time, and he was also openly critical against
if he was real,
the corrupt, what's it called? The corrupt
Roman
Roman
Empire.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when was the only time Jesus ever got violent in the Bible? Was when he turned the tables over of the money lenders in the church.
Yeah. Another thing I do want to end, well, I'm personally going to end this on, we don't have to end it, but what I have come to learn and accept and kind of appreciate is if you...
Stokely Carmichael.
Oh, I love him.
That's who he was quoting.
Yeah.
Joseph was quoting.
Oh, is that who that
Love
was? Hell
Stokely
yeah.
Carmichael. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
If you can make
Thank
somebody laugh while still talking about what you truly believe in, it gets you a lot closer to connecting with that person that may not agree with you. But if you get them to laugh, it's going to go a long way.
Yeah.
And as far as socio-political movements are concerned, most of the time, comedians have led that way. They have hacked that path with their funny machete into
Hey, Machete.
That's
The
the
way-
band name, but
Yeah.
it's a great band name.
Damn it, Jamie. I wanted that band name. If you can get somebody to laugh, you can get them on your side, and then you can tell them what you believe, and hopefully what you believe is something that's actually good for society.
Mhm.
So I guess that's my sign off right now on the fact that we have this irreverent podcast and we talk about dark subjects.
Voted most irreverent.
Voted most
That's
irreverent.
right. The most irreverent.
Right.
Speaking of most irreverent, if you make a person laugh, you can also get in better odds to make out with them later.
Okay.
So you can change people's minds.
Make them laugh. Make them come. Change their mind.
Murder,
I
murder.
just-
Put that on a t-shirt.
Put that on a t-shirt.
No,
Make them laugh. Make them come.
Make them come. Make them think.
At the end of the day, I just
Make them think twice.
And on the back is just a silhouette of a gun.
I don't need post-nut clarity. post-nut clarity to change my mind. So it makes
Well,
sense.
I just hope people have post-giggle clarity on some of that shit.
Oh, that's
You can also nut to us. That's fine too.
I mean, yeah.
I would love
Some
if
little
everybody
ASMR.
just kind of rubbed one out right
What?
now.
Did you hang on? What did you say?
Everybody listening, just fucking
To rub one out.
Just rub one out.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
You know?
Actually,
You
to
made it to-
all politicians that exist, fucking rub one out
Yeah.
and then think about it.
Yeah. You know, it's you made it to the end of the podcast. It's like a pop of champagne.
Well, I hope we made you laugh. Hope we made you think. Sorry for the information wall, but I think this is important shit. And we'll get back
I'm
to
with
the slashies and the guts and the blah blah and the blood.
But sometimes
spurts,
it's important to take a step back and talk about the things that really matter.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes you got to talk about the crimes that are being done to all of us.
Schmurder doesn't have to be bullshit.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Joey.
Well, thanks you guys for hanging in.
No, thank you, Joseph.
Joseph, you did a great job. We're so proud of you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Now, hit and like that subscribe button and follow us on our socials, such as Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon, support us so we can keep on giving you this wonderful material that you like listening to.
Instagram is Trashville_USA.
Yep.
And if you want us to cover something else that maybe even is darker or something about the United States,
Or just
screwing
something
you
on the
over.
top of your head, something on your mind.
Whatever you're feeling.
Yeah.
Email us at don'temailtrashville@gmail.com.
If you got some fun topics that you feel like haven't been represented, or maybe you just want to hear us do a version of it, hey, hit us up. I'm sure we'll do it.
Yeah. And if you want to see Jamie's feet and or buttholes, go to JLove at what is it?
I thought it was JChat.
I think it's JPay.
JPay.
Oh, sorry,
JPay.
Well, you follow the Patreon,
Right.
and then I
Yeah.
give you the
Yeah,
JPay link.
if you Venmo JPay $20, you will immediately get back behind me doing a goatsy.
Yeah.
If you'd like a one-on-one interview with Jerry, please subscribe to our Patreon.
If you'd like to hear from Jerry, get in on the Patreon. I'll send you a picture of Jerry. But you got to be on the Patreon
Why
for like
is this
3
an
months.
ultrasound? Yeah, that's the
That's
picture.
him. He's just a
ultrasound.
screaming egg.
What did you want to ask me? Give me the boy.
Now, what was that?
Stop saying that. He doesn't say that.
What was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle?
Bring me
like,
Krang?
like the evil villain that was like a giant pig, but he had like a brain in his stomach. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Krang, the brain in the
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. That's
Jerry?
Yeah,
Total Recall?
Does that mean I'm the big robot dude?
yeah. You're the big
Yeah, he's a big robot guy. Yeah.
I mean,
Jerry
All right.
has eaten away at your brain. He is the
I
brain.
mean, you have the muscles for it. Makes
just start
sense.
calling me Jerry now. I'm just going to walk
They
in
know
and
too
be
much. They know too much.
like, I don't even react to Joseph anymore. You're like, Jerry? And I just turn around. What you want? Well,
Yep,
I don't need
that's that.
surgery on my balls. What do you ask him?
don't remove me.
Well, that's that.
All right,
Yeah,
everybody.
well.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
See you
night.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Like what you hear? Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram at Trashville_USA. And if there's a true crime story you want the gang to cover, email us at don'temailtrashville@gmail.com. Murder Schmurder is produced by Jamie. Our tracking engineer is Grant. And our mix and mastering engineer is Julie. Incidental music and our theme song is provided by Jules. This has been another production of